television. So America see and when you go so more share Sabrina and then you may with me ako Facebook like a comment share ma obi nsunya kase ni bi entie na ono sunya mu nsem ni bi enkam enwumre ya kenkan for ya jepenia ya de kase na esomo midi edinana ya Asabea mene
amansan chairman Antwi Boasiako
na City Based Properties Ghana Limited one mo na boye chidom City Based se adoye promo no ekoso medofo pe asase ato ewo nknapumpuni mantem hapa dia City Based Properties Ghana Limited one mo enkuto ni betimi aboa amawenya asase kroje a ensemie ni ho ntokwasemmie ni ho ntimedofo momodi ahwehwe City Based Properties Ghana Limited wona chakwan ewo nungwa barrier wona scan guest house no nedin hwe ni muko afienya tubutun so wono office no ebi ewo momodi anse oni wono bedin kitawde na munyina nso matimi akasa anya wasase First Choice Media College medofo da obana wie ntu asoso kuna so wo fie nko ade a Ebrenini First Choice Media College tunsa edi afre sabofrano ese wombefa forms nibi na omeye centroni mapa ewo my Ghana mu ha enti First Choice Media College ewo 055405 4939 0554054939 Bulk food and groceries is okay ho enumre bulk food is say ebia na o provision shops akese na ope provisions anase eniema hodo e de agu shop nim wo pesa wo tonya mfaso de nko ade a eye bulk food and groceries won mo ne betimi abo wo enumre eni ntimi dafo momonde afre won mo na oni wono endi enkita hode ene enumre number no na egu screen no as 0558047304 Ufre one ma one more any ubedi enkitaundi. Ne numre kasia ya de esomo eye mass television so ne numre eye se die be die gun akotini ebini ade a aban ehye wona wowo eye bu no East Mountain ese ade wo ba wono be hwe na akwantempo awodo a atete apansam wo no wono aye ade ama wo
Saso ene ne de aye kase de Ghana mampani abedeche etu na ketema wode ne ni achemu ewo Kigali no no Rwanda ni nyina efa dwumede bi ebebo ama bibiman puntuo ene oman koso so etimetumpon
June 29th nsuo a eyi ni tie di wo man Ghana mu ma adehye ahodo enam so hwe wono nkwa ade a betodwa ese abofra a wono enya 4 months wo yiraye besi ne wo mu hu abofra ne ye
Saso ene oman Ghana ye photo sanfo e de abetodwa wo kire se ayonkofa da oman Ghana ne China mining tem na wo se braso se so timi ba mfaso
2024 about to course so e wotolon wono de abetodwa wo kire se ni entoko esi ye nipa boniafo enam no soma ne ba ye no waboni din na nso wadwani
Saso na National Lottery Authority and no majumefo e de ye kire ehye so ni nyina efa wona ketua ho sensema waka ebepim sabre na so wonti won penifo nka
Endro boni ho nsem ade asabre Ghana wono kire a wono atimi asizi 8500 kg of narcotics no na afensu emu 45.4 million tramadol wono anya ehu tablet no so
Saso na yebeko techi my prepare ya kase de mrashe bedwani ho ayadoye de white marker board akodom suafo wo Jako Senior High School
When sama hodo enumre ya boaboa no so ne so krojen se Amelia Koko ayede esomo ne enumre nti za bredi e pekonwa bitina se na pensu obi si nchen wo bra ye twa ehu tewuni yaba yeba yede kase ne mu nkyire mu nyina no yede ba besomo pagya yɛ mu no so ane de ani ekwa akɔkyerɛ mu ɛwɔ ɛyɛ bono is mountain emu ɛyade a amanebo efi hɔ ɛba ɛne sa de hye no kyerɛ a ɛyade a Ghana ban ahyɛbɔ ɛsɛ ɛkwan anasa kwantempo ahodo a ɛnkɔ yi ɛwɔ hɔ no ɛyade a wɔno ɛba bebiem no ayɛ ni yie pa asiesie aboa ahwɛ sɛ eniema betimi atoto yie na ɛno no wɔse ɔyɛ no under ɛyɛ ne big push initiative no emu sɛdeɛ wɔno betimi anya kwan etimi ɛde akɔ wɔno dwa so ne ade na aboa wɔno nso ɛyie ɛyɛ vice president ɛyɛ madam Nana Jane Opoku Ajima wɔde sansɛm yi kopie mu ɛwɔ ɛyɛ mɛkɔbo no home coming na ɛba no ase ɛwɔ atebubu.
Road is not simply an inconvenience. Government has therefore placed road infrastructure at the center of the Big Push program. Here in Bono East, work is progressing on roads, including the first phase. And you all know that, don't you? So moving to the second phase, even more will be done. This is particularly important because agriculture remains central to the local economy. Our farmers produce maize, yam, and other crops for this municipality and for other markets beyond it. The task is not simply to produce more. We must reduce post-harvest losses, improve storage and market access, support processing, and ensure that farming provides better and more reliable incomes for our farmers. That is reflected in the Feed Ghana program, which emphasizes food production, storage, processing, and stronger agricultural value chain.
Nani swadi unoplans kwa wanyandi magana mainti what the dialysis machine yenu abatachima sasa yenka pine enko kumasi na yenka pine so enko tamale tikasia waso da his excellency ne ya wotimi ye bini ono so firi ho a sabo hweburu east ha adia training college ayeye sasa ya friend college of education na oye ba kope omampanyi the college of education mienu abeka ye ho asese ya tebu de ka ho a ye benya college of education biensa eya bunu isi
Shemai Maya to our numerical Siabon so Eddie Amaudia, na ye de ni Eguswa Edina Vice President Atanae. In prepare ka say the Vice President Professor Jane Nana Opoku Ajimai Ebuna Ketema Sabi Wefri or my Ganum Ninani say, Wokosi Ghana Mampini His Excellency John Dramani Mahama Nemu, Ewo Jumede Bia Nono, Ebekoso, Ewo Eye Kigali, Ewo Rwanda Mining. Now, our Chester Jumedia wouldn't any Achemui. African Mindset Research Forum Jumedie na Jumedie ebekoso ewo Kigali conference no ewo Rwanda man no ache se sa Jumedie o mu hwe nim kwan se ebibiman amaya hodo mpenifo nyina ebetimi abepiemu ewo Jumedie na se na no ene wo che se wo hwe nim kwan se nipa dodo ebeba na emu oha chichemu ana oha mu ebupen eduwotwe ebeye mmabunu afei na wode wo ho era amanyosem mu se na ebetimi aboa ama won ni swade hu no mo anase dwumedie ne botae ene so mo behwe ama ebibima yade ho efi abrofo nsem kwan ebefa so aka yenti abom na kasa ho dwumedie ya aka no ebra so si ekabomu na yetusu ahonamo na eboa ema eba ne niema bi ti se ayaresabia se eye kwan ene apomden atena ya hodo my Ghana na se bibiman ankasa ebede ne ho na enya afei na ode ne ho ebeda eye amanone wache se sa dwumedie ebeboa ama eye bibiman nyina yetimi aka ye ho abom na eba no kwan ebefa so edi ye ho dwa kwan ebefa so etimi ama eba ne se mpo eye asembi anase ha bi man homini so a enya afei ene yekobo abranfo amane amo abeboa na emom yankasa ebefa to ye ho so na kwan a ye fa so eso ye niema no ewo ye fiefie ahodom sa kwan no ene ebefa so akabomu aboa so ano na aboa ama ebibiman so etimi ade ne ho efiri abrofo eho.
Some non so dia na interior minister ye honorable Muntaka Muhammad Mubarak and our day and Simbi Ababe Tuja Edia Fa a year June 29th ensure a unity edi wo my Ghana mwema desia would be a shre one mukwa and no nam swama ne one the Ababe to Bontina watch say abofra wenya 4 months a bra soon a toy no besi ne one mu akola no bibia ne chi kwan ewo and it is abredi one musre ese one mu ehwehwe eye pass wo behwe no hu abofra no
June, where 77 districts were affected in 7 regions nationwide with a flood. A total of 91,989 persons from 18,398 households were victims of the disaster. 1 person remained missing for a 4-month baby at Ghana East, and 39 deaths. And you can see the table that we provided. The regions, Volta region, the number of districts that were affected was 7. The total number of affected persons was 9,466. The total number of deaths were 4. Greater Accra, the number of districts that were affected were 27. The number of persons that were affected were 56,022. And the number of deaths that we had was 17. Central region, 16 districts were affected. 21,882 persons were affected. And the number of deaths in Central region was 18. Western region, Western North, we had 6 districts that were affected. 937 were affected. No death. No death was recorded in the case of Western North. Western region proper, 2 districts were affected, and the number of persons that were affected was 2,031. In Eastern region, only 1 district was affected, and the number of persons that were affected were 100.
Emma war a government accountability series and next one for no FSM so ecopm ewasia den sema tudwa and watch say afin pinuni oduonu mu about to anase by election a ekọ so ewa ya waso west ugon basabasa na se mentem ho ase man hom so ehonum na ewieche no nipa baako efa ho eto anana no ewase adu no nipa baako a wosusi se wono ene di ntintiman ma sa basabasa ya no kọ so a ene omudi ni din abetudwa ni din ai nipa dodo na anim no double anase ni dia na maame edeto no Ernest akomia wa kire se mpempra kase de ade a Ghana Police Service hwehwe brantie dendende nanso mpempra kase de wodin ho kamura nanso ma kye so mbe de bia ahwe sesa nipa no won sabe so on the page
To identify person who shot and killed the deceased Samira Zakaria and injured 3 others. I was West Wigon, that's Labawashi. At a key suspect identified by police investigation, Ernest Akomia alias Double, is still at large, and intensive operational steps are underway to apprehend and prosecute him. Tachiman South, that's Tachiman. The former written autopsy report in respect of the deceased Mohammed Tajuddin Al-Hassan and Abdullah Ayarik have been obtained from the medical officer who conducted the autopsy. A duplicate docket is being prepared to be forwarded to the Attorney General Office for study and advice. The trial of the 3 accused persons is ongoing before the High Court 1, Accra. The next court date is October 12, 2026. Awutu Senya Constituency, that's Kaswa. Awutu Senya East Constituency, that's Kaswa. Member of Parliament Honorable Phyllis Na Koyo Akono and her sister Gifty Akono have submitted their written statement to the Special Investigation Task Force. Investigative effort to locate Mustafa Mohammed, the driver in charge of the Black Hawk Mahindra pickup, on which the deceased victim, Idris Larry Yusuf, was shot, are still ongoing.
Ansem no so dia na dia Interior Minister Honorable Muntaka Mubarak and Wadi Ababe Tuja Ediafa Abato Koso 2024 Ewa Tolon constituency ni emu watch say near nam so ma mentem ho ase eba ye no eno nam so ema Shebu Haruna ehre no kwano eyade a eye Ahaji Abdul Latif Koshe wono ene nam no so ema sa mentem ho ase no epeda ni mu ewo sa empeso aso eho na osa ede tudwa watch say eyade a forms mpo a ewo se wono efa na yehwe so ede hunu se asimasi ene yebetimi ato abade ama no eno mpo no wono efa de ma no wobreko a wono antimi ankyere mu yie en se ono ebetimi atena mu ese NPP constituency youth organizer sansemi en wode etudwa
at the Yankpala in the Tolon constituency escalated into an armed confrontation in which armed men fired indiscriminately, including into an NDC pavilion area, resulting in the death of one Shaibu Haruna and injuries to others. Suspects in the matter. The prime suspect in the matter are Alhaji Abdul Latif Kopshi and one Sankara. Efforts to apprehend the suspects who, since the incident, have relocated from the community are yet to be successful. It has been established, however, that despite this absence from the community, forms were picked for suspect Alhaji Abdul Latif Kopshi to contest as unopposed in the just recently MPP internal election at the constituency, and he was retained as youth organizer unopposed. Three suspected pistols and one CZ rifle were retrieved during the investigation. Upon examination at the Police Forensic Science Laboratory, one pistol was found to have fired 3 spent shells retrieved from the crime scene. Efforts are continuing to monitor and arrest the suspects.
My Yugoslavia government accountability series jumedi ene so ewa ban kesim na jumedi na se na wonumunyam for Haruna Idrisu esan so eden se matuja watch se wo hwe won na mpepi wo gina kwan chen esresi ska hodo wo mfi o my Ghana mu a empiripra ye ka se de emu 2281 de sabre ya hwe won nyina efi ya kwante kwa hodo no so so na won a won fa kwan paso na wo be ro my Ghana mu oba nyes wo ye adwumu ne mum no etutura sem ne abonefosem wo ye no won so mu dodo be 774 de sabre Kasie o ma hwe ati sankrofo no nyina abo nkonsa amo nyina ekwo nkrom na wa chese sa adwumedi ebutai ene so mo be hwe ama impempi no won a won fa kwan paso ebe rura o my Ghana mu na ebe reche ne etutura sem no watu ahye ya homabbo edwumu kwa hodo no enti ene wode sa adwumedi ne hye so a sankrofo nya wo nkonsa amo akọ bebi ofi bai.
Ghana occupies a very unique position in the sub-region. We are an oasis of peace and stability in the sub-region that has, in recent years, faced significant security and economic challenges. This explains the urge of people from countries experiencing difficulties within the sub-region and beyond to look to Ghana for refuge. But we also have a duty to protect our borders, maintain public order, and safeguard our national security and economic interests. By the end of 2025, the Ghana Immigration Service has removed 2,281 migrant beggars on our streets and 774 other illegal immigrants involved in transnational organized crime that had been removed from Ghana. By July this year, the Ghana Immigration Service has also removed 960 migrant beggars from the streets of Kumasi and Accra and 186 other illegal immigrants from our country. We are pursuing this removal fully conscious of Ghana's obligation under the ECOWAS Protocol on free movement of persons, as well as the diplomatic relations and long-standing ties we and other countries have. Our objective is to reduce irregular migration and unlawful activities associated with it to the barest minimum, while ensuring that enforcement actions are lawful, undertaken by the appropriate authorities, and carried out in a manner that is respectful of human dignity. Let me be clear that the challenges before us is not of lack of political will, security, intelligence, or leadership. It is principally a question of scale. And I can assure the public that there is a high-level consensus with earmarked logistical support to increase the scale of the removals and strengthen our borders. Evidence of that will soon be apparent. We will continue to protect Ghana's tradition of hospitality, but we will do so alongside a firm commitment to the rule of law and national security and public order. So, by way of update, this is what we have on the illegal immigrants.
Yeah, to answer no so dia no my Ghana dia bring na ya na ye bompa ye se endrubone ho ensem no eto betwa wo man ni ma na se betimi eto ase yipa ene ya dia interior minister eye honorable Muntaka Mohammed wono Mubarak e dia babetudwa wo che se e ade asabre enkofo na se nipa wono mu ehu bon wo za endrubone mu wono atimi ache mu 217 emu 165 de wode wono ekwakwagina emra no enim na no achi no wono atimi ache sa endrubone eye 8500 kilogram of endrubone na afensu emu 45.4 million enso de tramon ko a asabre no wono ehwe anim se wo betimi ahwe na wahwe de wo betimi aye de afa.
The challenge that confront us continue to be the illicit drug fight, and in a very special way, I must thank the Director General of Narcotics Control Commission and his team for the bold and decisive way of fighting this menace. Together, I mean, they do it in collaboration with the police and all the other security agencies. 217 arrests were made and 165 prosecutions initiated over the period. Over 8,500 kilograms of narcotics drug were seized, and also about 45.4 million tramadol tablets. You know, one of the biggest challenges that we now have is the youth using the synthetic drugs, and narcotics control has intensified its effort. And imagine, in less than 2 years, over 45 million tablets of tramadol was seized, was intercepted. 73 tainted assets were recovered. When we talk about tainted assets, people, you know, our campaign is not just to the users, but those who are bringing it. And then we'll go down using intelligence-led to make sure that when we get them, we seize their assets or we taint the asset, freezing it while the prosecution is going on. And imagine in just about 20 months, we had about 73 tainted assets has been recovered, with about 19 kilogram of gold seized in suspected drug money laundering cases. Cash that have been associated with these persons involved in these drugs, about 6.9 million, and then about 440,000 US dollars cash that have been restrained.
Adesima ye to akase bonu so e dia ma ayugu so ejina government accountability series jumedi e course so na jumedi na se enun munyamfo Muntaka Mubarak edi tudwa en wo che se wo John Busmini de to so eduonu nkunu nso eyi niti e wo my Ghana mu nkramante mu atitiru etwifa amanfo so manyapade ahodo se no wo kire se aman bi ebeboa yie pa ehweye ema eye wona wo ho aka wotimi so wasene e de niam bi edomoma watch said not more Junokun, a bon homody pa, Eshe, Eboa Manipa Bear 713,000, with me as on as Nenwechi, and was also Edenasi, a comma United Arab Emirates, say also a Yisika Sombo $1 million US at the Bebo my Ghana say, Addition one a car was I see unity sabrin. Or from one or from more, one send a bear, or who so a bit me a helm and wechi, and was under Ghana dishing na anyone now will ye be a boama one na a head science to brand new unity, or who kind with him so on as.
And I want to thank NADMO, the police, the security service, fire service, and all those who came to our aid and helped make the weight lighter for the victims and those who are affected. Now, the NADMO over the period attended to 912 emergencies and responded to over 713,268 disaster victims across the country. 30,230 field assessments were done together with public education. And we can see I must say, Minister for Government Communication, a number of organizations came to help us. And we have the fine details of everything everybody has, donated and how it was used. But it is important that to take this opportunity to thank the following companies for their support. Pricey Bakery, Edric Limited, El Sanus Company Limited, El Seyus, yes, Company Limited, Melcon Distributing Center, Ghana Medical Association. One would have thought that Ghana Medical Association would say they are only doctors, but they still came with their widow's mite, and we truly, truly appreciate their support. Star Ghana Oil, Consolidated Bank of Ghana, ADRA Ghana, Mr. Anthony Kuzo Zanu, an individual, was very helpful. Contract Cleaners Association, they were also there to help. Ghana Chamber of Mines, Renata Health World, El Hamima Enterprise Limited, United Arab Emirates, and we want to take this opportunity to thank the United Arab Emirates in a very special way. They came in with $1 million and bought the items in Ghana. They didn't just ship in items from their country, but they came and bought items. They bought the gari from Ghana, they bought the water from Ghana, they bought the rice and oil, all those things, they bought them in-house. And we want to thank them sincerely for the work that they did. World Health Organization gave us a number of, drugs, and we had to hand them over to Ghana Health Service to administer because NADMO was not in a position to be able to determine some of the health issues. So we handed it over to Ghana Health Service. The Church of Latter-day Saints, I must thank this church because if you look at the items that they presented, roughly, I would say what we've received was really, really substantial from the Church of Latter-day Saints, and we are grateful. UNICEF Ghana Limited, the Qatari Foundation, the Qatari Charity, they were one of the first to come to our aid. In fact, in the initial stage, we were overwhelmed because, before we went to Parliament to get the money released and all that, we were really overwhelmed with immediate needs, and Qatar Charity stepped in at the time that we needed it most. Provost Ghana Limited. So these are the companies that really supported us.
Na yet one some non Sudiana Foreign Affairs Minister, a year Honorable Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa and Wode and Simbi Ababe to Asabea, what you say. Ayana Sabri and Crofana Sagana this year, yet Abefa one more echo Obi Manso, Equayon so Ejumano. Ayana Pempino, and Penifo and Asa this year one ewo Obi Mansono, and Pesso Obey one a ye. And maybe a trail Mugana Man Penny John Dramani Mahama and so Ebe Casafa Sansam no, I will no say Enkabeya enka abrofona na se one ma wotimi ebefa this year no kon one mu encompensity sankrofo no eyipa na no na eneyi eye honorable Samuel Okujeto abeka ho nsema wo ka se sansam na Ghana mampani John Dramani beka ye no kwan no na mom no aya na ye de ko eye brofo kasa ni ma na ye ka se eye sika nko a na nye sika nko a na ya na ehia bibifo na mom no ebehia se sa enkrofo na ye befa won mo efri wo man ni mu de kokko koyenko aso adwuma no yebetimi aso wo masene e wo mdwumedi a wo mu bedi nyina emu.
The international financial system is rigged against the global south. High risk, high interest, high capital, which is very expensive and continues to militate against the development of Africa. We can't continue with this world order, and that's why we are demanding that the global financial architecture changes. If you look at sovereign rating agencies, how they treat African economies, the kind of reports and how they make it risky to invest in Africa, that is what leads to the high interest rate. And you're seeing a lot of African countries spending sometimes 40%, 50% of all national revenue just on servicing debts, on interest payments. How can you develop? How can you catch up? in this rigged world order, this kind of arrangement. So that is also at the heart of the new world order we want to see. UN reforms. We cannot continue to have a United Nations where Africa does not have a seat. The large continent of Africa with 54 UN member states cannot have a seat, even just one seat at the Security Council, when we are always in the top 10 through contributing nations. We have thousands of our soldiers risking their lives on a daily basis in various theaters of conflict, putting themselves in harm's way to ensure that there is global peace and security. And yet, we don't have a voice at the UN Security Council. So we are demanding UN reforms, and it is all part of our reparatory justice agenda. So reparatory justice goes way beyond financial compensation, which of course is legitimate. And we are not saying give African leaders financial payments. We are not interested in the money of the West. We are saying support causes, and that is why we commend what the Archbishop of Canterbury has done, announcing £100 million to support causes of young Africans, young entrepreneurs, to go into businesses, invest in startups. That's the kind of arrangement we want to see. African leaders are not asking for money to line our pockets. That's not what we're asking for. And we are also saying that let's look at debt forgiveness. Let's look at the rigged international financial architecture. Let's look at UN reform. So it's a broader issue of also restitution, which I talked about, returning all the looted artifacts, which many European countries continue to profit from today in their museums, increasing gate fees every year and benefiting from what they looted from the continent. So the whole reparatory justice agenda, this is it. It's also about sovereignty. It's about allowing African countries to take control of our resources. We don't want to be exporting raw materials any longer. And President Mahama has declared about that. And I raised that at the meeting. I want to commend Russia for declaring their support for a new economic paradigm, where we will no longer be at the mercy of exploitation. We want to add value to our own resources, industrialize, build factories, and then you can partner with us in a win-win arrangement. But this business where we don't determine the prices of natural resources we own, we don't determine the prices of our cocoa, of our gold, which Ghana is the #1 producer of in the world. We don't determine the prices of our bauxite, of our oil and gas and all of that. We cannot continue with that rigged global order. So reparatory justice encapsulates all of these germane matters, which are really essential towards the final liberation. You see, Kwame Nkrumah talked about the political liberation which we won in 1957 when we were the first African country to win independence. But he reminded us that that is not the end of the journey. We need economic emancipation, economic liberation. And that is the next frontier. And that is what President Mahama is leading. That now we must win the battle for economic liberation. And that is what this whole reparatory justice agenda is about.
Thank you so much.
Adesima ma ye to anwumre Kasie bone so e dia ma odia na edieni e kyeremu e wo so afa wono e na hwe omai Ghana sikasem so na ene woni China ban anamusifo e wo omai Ghana mu atena se edinkomo ahwe ayongofe da omai Ghana ene China mining tem na wabra dwumede ne ekoso no e na Dr. Kasie lato force na di tudwa e na wo kyeremu se wo hwe ayongofe da omai Ghana ene China mining tem a e ayongofe bi mu odin ye pa na sa yonkufe fi asenye nne na braso se eye China man ene Ghana man kasubo ma yedini yeboa ema emfasode papa timu fi mu ba ebiti se wo boa ama nyuma hodo ebusu e wo man Ghana na Ghana de hye so a wo wa enye adwuma aye na aboa ama China man ne Ghana man ni nyina aman mienu etimi enya so mfaso wo bra okasa no wo kyese se wo hwe o man Ghana abakose mu pa na ope aman ahodo a ye ne won edi kasubom acha China man man ba kwa che se di kan wo mu bi enu ti wa che se ebra so se wo sempinfo hwe na sa ayonkofa no wo hye mu kina no wo mamu ye de neboa ema eniema wo betimi aboa ma oman Ghana puntuo ne oman koso etimi abam no aman mienu edi kasubom se ne be a ebetimi aboa ma nchirima so etimi nya fasudie papa efri so bie. Area Ghana this my man na ha ne begina etwa ho akwaje aboafo nkrato e ba ensem aka wache nya ebeto aso e diamo.
Mehima na nyumbre mami kale wali tuwa fa mehimo paade na nya bi ya woni kwansi bia
kentin kan ni kele wali wonim se 11 cd any 22 cd ya yedri mami kele wali joint ya woje no wonim se betimi de ato asase e wo city based properties for you madam Fudavi se no a 11 cd 22 cd no boaboa no a
wo se sen 1 cd 2 cd etimi to asase e wo Ghana ha
bam Ghana ha se die city based properties for pe e no modern hihya to ho a wotimi tua 11 cd any 22 cd ya wotimi to asase adie so maba se ne be ya Ghana for you betimi ato asase esi efie mayenya calculation we nhwe ya fa ne se 5 times 30 ayesen
ay 150
en kan si kadada 1.5 na 2 times 5 nso e
anu so 10 cd
asa je wo hia aye deposit en kan si kadada no 1.5 na uchi awia de bia na watua 10 cd zavi nya ne de no afie nya ama sama no obi ho Shy Hills oyibi prom kaswa ene chopoli new airport no wonim so mo dansie ho niema nyina efi so de be she dan no ni siase akopim so bewie wo mo di free wo no wase tua na kakran
oh enie asase bomodia ayo mo chekwan
the head office ewo nungwa barrier afenso eye city based office anes ewo eye mataheko hallelujah junction frena may 0550285246
0505244503 and 0551996843
city based properties we add value to your home.
Munyina kwa biwem se moje bretwen ye mayitimi twa ye ho eba ye na se ye to akase no so de a na eyade ni echemu ewo doma ene ne poswa so eyade amrahye bedwani awo no ewo doma ne ne potem eye Honorable Vincent Opoku Opon Asamoah Asabea wono akasa nsama wode etudwa ene se eyade Asabea wono mu anyane nti ye se ensemini na muframom efa eye NDC amanyokuo no ho ese enya omde nhihye ye foforo eba begu akwama no eba abeyi kokofo afiri ho anase wo be se koko ejuma no wo se sansam na nenam krom ni nyina no kure bi enim nti wo mongu na wonom nkrofo wono ekeka sa na ye adehia wono ewo NPP amanyokuo no wonom enim nia wo ka na emom no wo nhihye ye pa edema eye koko kuonu ese wono ba beboa na koko so atimi afa no ntoma pa efra
aban pese odisika awuram me no mo ka say aban promises obema free fertilizer your friend Doma Cocoa district in Kwana almost receive close to 50,000 bags of fertilizer which to me no the amount so might receive about 80% of that cocoa cocoa district no Doma is Brikum Jamai North and Jamai South Nina no 30% na aban no yedi ato ho no 30% no it is obia ka cho se bia cocoa industry na ban no e ba bese no a na cocoa no na e ba ban no bro in spite of say gold na ban nyina wini abani the cities and a tokoko. Otoa wonya dollars. Echino sikano makoko bodo. Omotoa na sikano ko Bank of Ghana. Wana you keep your dollars in. Now Bank of Ghana na my cities near the about tokoko no. When she say Bank of Ghana any abino what to koko edmano what to no former. Eye ye sha mafo be nkra me akra makwa just as for be kra. Manya be 15 acres bia. O say ya ja wokan go form na ya dua koko no bi koko de gold beto koko sa na any product bia cashew ni dia kani na beto koko but cocoa remain number 1 product ebeboa Ghana for now no say afisi say launch cocoa scholarship said na first na cocoa scholarship no one and no near the secondary school but this time around they got tertiary no so no they were stress free our level 100 no it is called level 200 econo hono na ye this scholarship but any course bi aso na agric related courses and now onye cocoa farmers so this time around no ye the mrana shemu say we cocoa board staff wonka ho Doma was MP na me chairman of that committee na ye this time around they are president to board I'm a board ajiatum nti akase president ebe launch sa scholarship no nti nya ba wo say ukura cocoa card no cocoa crachi farmer bia e wo card it is a card no any be gina so a wo betimi qualify na chema cocoa scholarship no bi
Arishimai ma yetwa yensem so ane de ni echemu Techimai South Mensini no na mpepra e kase de mrashe bedwani e de Asabea no eye honorable Martin na Jemensa Kosa sabre kase de wo de eye white marker board bedu akodom eye Jako Senior High School no e won potemo na de ntia wo de sani ma we ekoye ese be na ochi kakre ni na video bi ebeto monten I no school near was school more elbum kotodwedi adesede etum penifo nim se eba no board ahodo a chechefo ebe gina classroom ho e de kirade na e won ko e de ye pa eni nti aba no hwe no bremu no e na eye honorable Martin na Jemensa Kosa ehu ye wode America tente akoto eye whiteboard ya wode akodum school yi
yo we de mayor sumpanyine Martin na Jemensa Kosa so who Jako chef wa say ya me da form na we say pewani be hwe Jako Senior High woni chairman Wina school so we share your board asay as see a new case ya no so ani sua ade teachers woni be kire ade a essence board no asay ya saint no mo kire no one side
kire ade so wa yini yim fita ade a kire ade na ya nkula no so ya sua ade no ya yere ye hu asua nti ye gina isi ya yere ma ye kasa anya tinte se ye teachers woni di kan akani na nti ye kakra ene asda ana ani gi ai wo ye mu na ye yino ama atiefo ni na hu se ampa ade na ye de to ye Martin Jemensa Kosa me so mpa heno wa ya ama ye na ye ni age abro so ye ni hwe e de ma no ade a metimi aka ne se e wo se ye wona abo yitimi toa no so if se wo hwe de wa ya ma school na nkasa na me nkasa aburo ma adwene me nte ase yeso wo hwa e wo mi se onne ye MP ba nya ne papa na tie akunya so sebi se ma no foma mo mfa nche me ni ha se me ka asema ma tie obi esanse enya ne papa ne tie akunya ne so nti no wa antwetwe no ho wodi nkranhye ene ntentem so na de board no ebreye board wa mi ke so nya ba akunya mi no de breye wodi board no ba ko 10 ene ebreye a witimi se board na de abreye ne boaye ama adusua no akwa ni tumpon ye ni bia de ma wana bo Martin Jemensa Kosa sumpa hene ni na ya adase na
de kan se nyame hyira no na onma no kwan tenten na ontimi mboaye bia ye de na sepa de oni se omo amuwo form 3 no oma wiako nti e ma sa form 1 and form 2 classes omo eyi asen ya mo move akọ those in form 3 nti na ya junu ho se ye be bie school no na the whole set be wo ho form 1 form 2 form 3 nti ye bie school na ade we ni ho a na nka e be ye din pa se e betima we will not be able to teach them very well as it is expected school no challenge
ye pejai mu ana ye pie mu ewo Gbikweta health center eno ewo ho municipality ni emu amanebo efi ho eba ne sapomden edwumayefo a wono ewo ho sabre wono mo esreb ye pa se wono hiamoa enam se ebre ana se kwan ni ho a wono timi deje adehye a wono yare a wono betimi ahwe wono no wono kira won bia ye wono ehoswa emwa ye kura emma wono madwumedie no enkoso emma wono ti sabre de wono stress mbinifo embra na wo meye wono emwa.
When the client comes, this is the OPD. We take the person's vitals, we do records, we give the folder, and the client goes to see the prescriber. So when the client comes back, then we give the drugs here, do the calculations, and issue receipts here. If there is any lab that the client is supposed to do, then we do the labs here. So virtually everything is done in this. Ideally, the records is supposed to be in a different room. Lab should be different. The pharmacy should be different, and the accounts unit should be different. But since it's the same nurses and midwives that are doing the same work, we just gather here and
it is accommodation for staffs, especially the maternity unit, that they will have to be called in the middle of the night to come and do deliveries. Some of them, they are living very far from the facility. And then if there is an accommodation here, I think it will really help so that our mothers will have safe delivery on time. Another problem we also have is logistics to work with. We don't have enough health logistics, and then we don't have water flowing 24/7 for us to be able to do the infection prevention that we need. Enough space to admit patients. Even the space we have for detaining, it can only detain 2 clients at a time. So we need more rooms so that we can be able to create more consulting rooms and then detaining rooms for patients so that we will reduce the waiting time here.
We look at the health infrastructure and if I'm taking over as MP, I realize that you are nowhere near any constituency in the region. Our health centers are rural infrastructure. We've taken notice of some of them, like Weta, Alabanyo, Zongo again, where we will transform it to polyclinic and other centers. Weta, for instance, we have just one or two next year, and most of our health infrastructure will be.
Kasie bono kopie mu ewo National Lottery Authority ene omedwumefo ede oyekire ehyehyɛ so ewo wona tena mu nyina ne se wakyɛ se eba no wona akatua ho nsɛm a wone benefo kan senka wo mpege mu enko ha mu ebupen eduonum 15% ne so wone benefo aka every October last year ebepim sa benefo nya ehwe no nti ene ne de wode sa yekire hyehyɛ so.
Of the appropriate tasks that we wanted management to do. On average, what it means is that we have lost, our incomes have suffered a diminution or a reduction on average of 11%. All of them, you see them here. The reason why they are wild is because what they were going home with in 2024. In 2025 October, when the right taxes were implemented, they have suffered a reduction in their take home by 11%. So that is the cream of all these discussions. So at that time, we had to even accept that 5% from management, and the pressure was on us. We promised our people that, look, we were in October. The year was almost coming to an end. Why don't we hold this? So that by the end of the year, we are going to write a proposal to management so we can use the opportunity to plug that 11% shortfall in our disposable income. And that is what we are seeking to do, of which management is trying to turn a third year to it. Yes. On average, we have suffered 11%. Last year, our salary only benefited from an appreciation of 5%. These things have implications for your pension. Salary increases has implications for your pension. Only 5% last year, with the promise that come and get a better negotiation this year. And we have suffered a diminution in our disposable income of on average of 11%. On average, what we need to push in the staff is 15%, which would have meant that we would even end up not even getting a salary increase this year, but to just take care of the shortfall. You are media people. Do you think that you will accept for your management through their actions and inaction that your salaries will be reduced and you will not do anything to take care of that? We negotiated the manager's pay. For them, there it is 12% they put in the budget, take it or leave it. And if you have a director who would even say, well, if you don't take it, you can go to the commission. Management, they don't do that. How? You try to use every available means to you through dialogue, which we have believed in, to resolve the issue. But at the point in time, you told us that, well, if you cannot accept it, you can go to the commission. Even saying that to demonstrate it is our right. All right. We can demonstrate.
Yeah, Miss Kumi Benes, one Eden Simbi Ababetu Jasabre, Edia Fa and Kusia Ton, and what she say, one I would DJ and answer what Ton Kusia, what de a Juma, what this a Juman was say, some mano, one more Ayobia, a woman was Kayipa, and I'm say in Kusia Ton ye, a cabo nim, and I say a pipe idea, and ye now boka, nemo munusika, ye casika with Juma Mupadi and Kusia Ton, Sika wumi yepa, if you say, oh no. At that time now our bank ejuma munu na M1 sa ba wo free mu embeton kushia no wo nunu ho da enam se eyade a watimi anya sika wo mu yi pa na mmom no wo se wo beton anya sika na mfaso de bebre wo ho no e wo se utimi embo ho modin se wo be discipline na afenso why commitment e wo ejuma no na afenso no why business minded a wo de beka ho no betimi aboa wo ama wo nso watimi enya mfaso a esese wonya e wo enkushia ton no e
Yeah, because now me wo bank. So me free bank can be kusu adwuma no far better than bank na me won. Nti adwuma wo di ja wo ma e beboa. Wo di ja obi a odi wachi ana wo hye wo nanse a wo tretene ne se de na brabo besi yi a mo ne kada. E de ni besi yi. De hia ne se nipa no de akoma pa. Na fe wo nya sikadie bebre, wo nya atoto bebre nko fifi nkofo ne ma. Wo ji obi nkosu a wo betua ne ka pepepe. Udi no kra nyankopon so bedi no kra ma obeba wo ne ama ho ban accident imposi a be hu se obesi asore sa nti kosu adwuma de eye adwuma pa na bekita doma wo hye doma ma wo poti mu ne excelling association no mu a utimi hu se obi akwanani esan se onya bibi koton onya bibi kakra de be fie be support nti aboa yen pa nti obi a wo abonten ana wo fie Odo ho besem na so obeye bia ebebo ne hia no nokredie na fenso obenya customers a omonso ya trust well bia oje wo niam a wonko nkochinchin hwehwe no obi je wo niam a na wadwane sa niam ni nyina ekoso se enye no de a nka problem bia ni nkusiato mu nka ye adwuma ye adwuma pa
how you from say speed ramp no doors wo kwan mo ye ho kire ye tema kusua no udiro kwan se epeja kesi epim mu so ntama challenges I woman no ana nkusuan so a farmers na de brɛ no ebu akwa a wukuta kwa na isu ya sone e bia bo na e sone ni nan so side nan so haye so ana nkusuan so no yam boy sina a mo no nkusuan no eti adwuma na den eti wontimi family ba ko eso o fa be 4 eti de obagina a obodo do bewie no eso man be 100 cities eso wo fa ni patra 300 ya so you can take it you try encounters the mom the American adwuma no challenges wo bebre kama ya ho kire nti we ya o man ka say lord fe o mun tumi na no ma ye ho kire ye some going to say you know ma ka say wo mo nyanti aban so hwe ekwan no say do be kwan ama ebitima aboa yen ama yen so akwaniaba no etima aboa yen nto mo yen sama yen if you do come so a those for be etimi higher ye penkosua say because so nye dia so me ban me kosua ma nko
Ghana this my de ni HMU e wa santimante mu dia Adwiso Senior High Technical School no ɛwɔ asantimantem Asabea kase de ɛyɛ school for ho ɛde adesede ɛto aban nim sɛ ɛba no infrastructure ho nsɛm a atosi ɛwɔ ɛyɛ adwusu senior high technical ɛne nti ɔma kyerɛ sɛ ɛba no te sɛ dormitories ɛyɛ dining hall and assembly halls ahodo a ɛho yɛ din yie pa ɛde amoma wɔtoto srɛ sɛ aban ne mmerɛ ɔmmoa sɛ ne betumi aboa ama desua ho nsɛm betumi afa ne ntoma pɛfra.
Grateful to get fund for the commencement of a one-story boys' dormitory project, which is at the substructure stage. Nanache, the school still needs a girls' dormitory, an 18-unit classroom block, an assembly hall to go off the double-track system. The school has only 2 standard bungalows, one for the assistant head academics and the other for the senior house mistress. The bungalow meant for the headmistress is used as a storage facility to store food items.
One head does not make a council. SecTech is standing today because many hands have held it together. One, we thank the government and the education service for providing teachers and for supporting the school through policies like free SHS and Get Fund projects. We, however, appeal for more support, especially to retool our technical workshops, science laboratories, and to complete our dormitory blocks. To Nananum and the good people of Joso, we thank you very much. Highlight some of what government is doing through Get Fund. First, government is in the process of procuring 266-seater buses for senior high school. And I want to put it on record that as soon as the buses are delivered, I'll make sure this school is free. As you are aware, transport is important to the effective running of our schools, whether it is for academic programs, sporting facilities, educational trips, or other essential.
The Assemblies of God Corporate Union are one more award Techima at the one annual general meeting so our fair addition is one more day essay will be to me as you said your cresika ama one more that at me IFA. What day a year annual general meeting so a year full gospel Assemblies of God Church and no award Techima a year cruciated 23rd August 2026 and what this meeting no so.
Me butai anase vision eda meni so titu ene se ye betwa adwuma pa board dada ne eyeye na medikan ka ma asem be free trosem say Ecclesiastes chapter 9 verse 10 say Bible say adwuma bia ye sebeka bia no yemfa ya honde nyina nye nti me nkran hye sem a meka edigina eye board members ne committee members ayi so enne ne say adwuma omudi ahye nsei members di ahye nsei ye di ahonde nyina beye ye nimdie babia yentine maase no board dada no ye bekoso afromo no matuefo ye wa asofo so a omo so betime die enim ye butan ne se eye ku a eye sikasem ene ye tutu de na so esese ye hwe ne yi se ye betutu wo onyankopon esuro ananso onyankopon kwan so de enhye nyame ni monyam no ye ndi ekire de be hye nyame ni monyam na di eye mfaso abre members na di nkoso
ye ba no eniema ye hu no enkrate mu de eni so omo bo omo ho modern the only thing akra ne loans for jaya no mo twetwe omo enas credit union so enye mfaso ntipote na yeti Asabea ebetimi aboa members no oba usika dawa ego wa times 3 ni abo ho times 3 ne dia ma nti enye wa usika na de ma obi die aba abeka na wo de akotre wadwuma mu anase wa ankasa umpuntu adwuma mu anase disua bia usua ase bia so obaje bosia na se twetwe wona ase ya na akoye ensempi kakra ama wo mu adede ka no so no motimi aba betua and shares no so credit union se ni city no shares no any fitri to buy friend capital adequacy eno de wo de beto ho a na wo de bo ekuo no dwetwe ye wa usika to de boa ekuo no be bo ni dwetwe a ekuo no betimi de aye adwuma foforo na hwase mfaso aba
onyankopon ne afan go Christian adi ne yie
the director for Kua Bono is and then Frisiane by in a woman the Horan says, be a queer sassy a free no, will be a dear duty on young company in the year, we come reso. And Kua Mamma for France free but what join and so almost so rest, and young couple of Pejo, not Solomon Swa or Mum. Just said, so I saw young baby papa see na or a seminary and that's why as an occasion wa obeti me edo osika kosemu wohia bosia e betuma bosia bia wohia bia no betima eden so ba na afi kura na wo se yantima malo no kase because am for magelo no interest a yawo nso no yateso aba 2.5% obiaje wo ya sore na oja 1.5 asore dim inten sore omo okohina na wo di esi asore dan bia na age aya dia omo de na sia pa interfere ya se we are sure nko ade ya individual 1.5 e dey ma ene ya for there accretion should dey bu asore no wo be asore bia ya wo
adishima ma ye twen ho aja bo afọ nkrato abai ba nsema ka we chenye beto aso dia mo
de gala kwantam brantam yanyabra
wapomde awunya yentini etwasa brenia brenyina no enuane a wudiko nipadua mu nyina no woya hweyie ne santi Bob Foods and Groceries BFNG abadwaman so enam se cocoa one fasudie hudu pintino what royal cocoa powder nibi abadwaman so pebbles and a naughty choke sanso and a cocoa nepsibi what the nina abadwaman so ose so you dredidi na opedodo atu anasa opebia koton ubetimi anyone etwetwe enkomo sanso ayade a wo 70% 80% 90% dark chocolate and also benye bi ato edi ewo wono asweye frɛ one mo
0558 047304
Samasa to do that from fa menya police menya fire menya ambulance malamu phone na from me pia fa go back madu
so dia na ye de eye enigidi nsem ne amanone nsem na ebeto amusu sabre na eye ade a Afro Essence no sabre Afro Essence village no eye ade a wonmo atimi asesa edin no aye no eye gbawe art center a eno eye Ghana nyumtuni abayiwa ye Misbel wono edia asabre no wono ehra eye ade a wonmo eba beje eye awowa na se honum eno obetimi aye niema hodo a amaye hu ye culture ane emunsem afenso eniama hodo ebetimi asusom eno no yebetimi di akire se we biribi se ya na biribi se no eno bi eno wo beye ewo honom na afenso aboa ama won so a wonim amamre ne amane no nso wetimi aba ho aba abesua bi ewo ho
kwe e wo ke gbo e ba bi ene na me ya amehio na amekefon amekweneke kuna na ke oje Ghana ewo ene blame kente je no na fi oke machine bia ne blame kente o ba anyo ke fon tale no neke ala o ba anyo ke fon okwe neke ewo bro fo cheme ke feni osumo ni bi ehun ekono ne ene o efetum osono chi afele sa chewe ake ke wo blame sono konike ubanyo ke machumini e kasha noko e ameke glass e manehie no sono ni e use kerosene yes ene on blame British bi ani bi ni amehie bi e koni e woni bi e ekono ne and it's a demonstration of an altar ni mokoba onukpa koba be ne ba chon chi woke imami na je mi picture ni woke fe example e woni bi ni oblayin ko oblaya bi ni yo Ghana efe ni ameke ba ke wo showcase ni ke mo consumer ko ni eba he aha
no ma people are ke nene bine ke nje ni kwa mope shiko ye biko le te ka se noko ke chon le ke manja ni bine no wa anya chon le lo
ofane ame fe ready akeke mo kontan e ka se be na fe oni bi ni wo na fe ame ba na ame ba chon Saturdays and Sunday wo chon drumming and dancing aha shi agbene wo ke nilo ke ni bi ni na no chumo feel ba fatai yes
when operations you over there no get power at center no more do one when over over play here no more che no more control the bar
Kasie bonu kopie mu ewo amanhodo so nsem dia yenyina nim sese odwani ekire mu ewo Democratic Republic of Congo Ebola yare a eyiniti epie mu ho eno enam so ama Asabea Kasie de dipadodo na atwa nanano ewo nsiado enam so ama enra kwasiada se odwani ekire mu ewo Poplio atena edoto so edunan atena ya wode mpaibo dwumedi ahyehe so ama eye wona wonyina atwa nanano mu nsiado efa eye Ebola yare a eno esi ewo DR Congo man menu echi wotutu sre se eye ebibiman ene aman hodo nyina endi kasum emmoa ema Ebola yare yiniti ewo DR Congo man nem ensem kunipa biom enka ho eno echi ene wosanso ede ya konsem ekoma eye Central African Republic anano da eye wona wotu fomagudie ewo eye Zamboya a eno edirigu mu na eno so wieche no nipa dodo na prepare na bi nso eto anana nwosiado no wode ya konsem so ekọ edema sankofo no ewie Ghana de shima na ha ne yebegina ede enumere Kasie bon yede ni nyina esi na ansa na ebe sorry so nsema hudo bi ayi ni ti ewo Kasie bono bi ene se eyade a ene de ya ye Kasie Ghana mampini abedeche Professor Jena no Poku Adjuma akopie mu ewo Kigali no ewo Rwanda manim
sanso ena aban no ehye eyebo no East Mountain emu se ade a wono ebobo no homode se akwantempa wodo ase no wobesiesi ayeni yama wo mu
so for wono na hwe o my Ghana sikasem so ache sa yonko fa da eye o my Ghana ne China man ntem no ebra so si ehye mu kina ne boa ema nyuma hodo busu ewo man mu
Insu Brenta me yi ni tiedi eye 29 June no eyade a wono kira abofra wono enya 4 months no eyade a wayera awo mu hu
saso ena ni monyamfo eye mutaka mubrak ache se wa bro my Ghana ekọ ahunyenye ma Insu Brane toy no eyade anadmo ene eye djuma ko bi ti se United Arab Emirates for ebeboaye ehwe manema etuto na akwan mu
2024 eye tolon election no eyade a mentime ho asem bi ma no hom no so eyade a na interior minister edi nipa ni din ababontene
Weni nsema hudo bi na enigide ne amanone de Kasie ka ho ne enumere osemufo so ne so mai de besomo se enumere Kasie bo City Based Properties Ghana Limited eye dwumeko a woton sase hoje ho krata sem nyina eye Krojin City Base eye promo no eye adoye promo ni ntitutumika na oso bra na beje wasase se na watete sase bo no so na beje wodie hwehwo chi akwan wonungu abare won scan guest house ene de hwenim saso ena bo won krabata baako e wa finya to butudu ho a behu atena no kama na so se obetimi ni mpanfo wo City Base edin sawo e wa homa su 055 1996843 055 1996843 City Base. Also, we add value to your home. So, and bulk food and groceries. Bulk food and groceries say, BBFA, a cocoa, or my gun, you cocoa kind. I add down the media fan feed open a black chocolate, and also cocoa powder there. For a bulk food and groceries, our home is 0558 048 7304 0558 048 7304. Bulk food and groceries, and now, also BBA, a fire cocoa, no dear bra. No more be sure I'm wapum de wonsem so etumi afanen to mapa efra na nyumre enuanu mi na esinkonya ede Kasie bono ebe so mo eyeme amansan chi ame entwugosi agmene
nana ya Asabea
yadam na se amamumu anisha